Hello. Is that all working correctly? I think so. I'll just check some things quickly. I think we're all good. That's working. That's all up. Just check Twitch quickly. Good to see the disembodied hands.
Porky. Making fun of a blind man, are we? Hmm?
That's alright. Sorry, I forgot to mute desktop audio there. Is that working? Yeah, that's all working. Wonderful. Cool. So I just need to check that. Cool. Let us put on some music and we shall get started then. I just got a random lo-fi playlist. Hopefully this is good. Cool. Yes, so today I am going to be painting up a wonderful little Dunecrawler model here. I've already based it and done and built it, obviously. You can probably see the base. Yeah, I was basically going for like an urban rebel thing. A little Admech head there, and this bit looks a mess, but hopefully it'll look a bit better with paint. But it's like a Tyrannid, half buried in like dirt there. Hopefully it comes together. I've got a vision. We'll see. Might get onto the actual like turret today. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But I'm going to be focusing on the base mostly. Cool. First step is just get a little brown, and then just do a coat all over most of the ground with this. Pretty much. I really need to get a wet palette. It's next on my list of things to get, really. Yeah, that's a shot. So yeah. Just getting a rubbish old brush and going at it. I'm gonna go in for this more like rust brown for my soil. It's kind of deserty. Just basically want like an arid kind of color really. But I didn't want like proper desert, you know, like the beige, kind of sandy tones. So this provided a nice kind of difference from that. It's just more Frank Brown from Citadel. Yeah, kind of chestnut brown basically. And I'll be highlighting it up with more kind of tan colors later on, with like a dry brush. Yeah, we'll wash it down with some Agrax, of course, and then I'll do a dry brush, but we'll get to that for now. Just do some chill base coating. Yeah, with doing this, it should homogenize the bit of dirt that I've already kind of slapped on with the cork I use for texturing. Just all these little bits in there. It's hard to make out, but yeah. Yeah. Just vibing. Hopefully not too many flakes come off, because that's an issue I've had before with this basing style. A lot of basing styles, like when I'm using like sand or grit or anything, just half of the flakes fall off. Like I've started using PVA glue to seal it in, but even then it still flakes off. Which is why I normally prefer like the paste like here that I've used, but there is a certain texture you get with like sediment, like sand or cork or gravel or whatever you use, even dirt, that you can't really get with the texture paste. It's nice to use a mixer too. I could have done it a bit better. here gradient wise because it's quite jarring personally and it looks a bit messy. I might clean it up later. It doesn't look too bad. I'll probably keep it as it is for this one, but then for like future models with this basing scheme, I'll probably update it. Because yeah, this has been on this model for god like 2 years now, something ridiculous like that. Yeah, this has been sitting on a shelf. This has been long overdue. Yeah, I've got half an army that I need to paint along with this, so I will hopefully be streaming more again. So I used to stream a little while ago, like 2 years ago, just before the pandemic. Scary times. We do not speak of it. Yeah. Getting there. Yeah, if you ever want to do like this kind of thing at home, definitely recommend using an old brush because yeah, trying to do this with a nice brush, it will ruin it. Just trying to like mash it into the crevices. Yeah. Let's try and get onto the legs. So yeah, I primed it with white and then I did like a coat of lead belcher from the spray can, which is what you can see here where I haven't painted yet, which is going to help for doing the mechanics later. So there's not as much to paint. I tend to do like quite a weathered metal because I just personally like how that looks. So I got some really nice rust pigments which I'll use on this and do some scratches and stuff. I've already definitely not gonna be able to pick up, but I've done like some scratches and some chunks out of the like armor there. Just a tiny gash, you can just see it where my brush is. Just below it. Yeah, it's hard to see. Camera's not the best, but it works alright. It's not good at close up, but like mid range is alright. Have to bear with me, I'm afraid. Yeah, the only issue with this as well is you get through a lot of paint, so I might need to look for alternatives because like my Mornfang is running pretty low from doing this process on a couple of bases now, which is not great because it's not the price, it's £3 roughly here in England, but yeah, still not great cost effectiveness wise. Same with like making my own washes. I really want to get into doing that because that'll just be a fun skill to learn, as well as being able to save a little bit because it's already an expensive hobby, as I'm sure people out there know. We're about halfway through on this brown. It's gonna take us a little bit. I'm just gonna get through it. So yeah, I'll base this in Mornfang, then we'll just slap a wash on it. We'll put it to the side, and then we can work on the turret cockpit section whilst that dries. I'm not trying to speed through it, but I might as well be efficient and do stuff whilst other stuff's drying. You know, make the most of my time rather than just sitting here twiddling my thumbs for half an hour. I could talk to chat, but I can do that and paint at the same time, which is what we're doing now. I think it's nicer because then you get a little bit of visual that you can tap into occasionally. So if you just listen to this in the background or something. Right. Jeez, yeah, we are getting through the pot. Get rid of the hair. Yeah, this brush is pretty messed up. It's flaying out pretty bad. I do have this nice one to the side that you can see that I haven't used yet. I'm almost afraid to use it because yeah, it'd make it faster because it's a lot bigger than this little one. But I can get into places easy with this. Plus, I don't want to break the nice bristles on that one. It's all brand new and polished. Yeah, also don't mind the random just lo-fi music I've got on. I just found a playlist and slapped it on. That's alright. Just some background noise. I could water this down, but I don't really want to, particularly. Yeah, because then if I water it down, it will go into the crevices easier, but it will have a lot harder time covering the rest of it. So that's an alright consistency for now. This bit's really annoying. I've had this on some other bases in the past, where basically the granules are simultaneously too big and too small, so the bristles of the brush can't get between them very easily. But you can just about see the kind of underspray or just even the base underneath, which is annoying. That's when watering it down would help a lot. So I might have to do that. Normally I just rely on the wash that I do though. That tends to get that pretty well. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. Got some nice colour on here now. It'll look a lot nicer with the wash as well because that'll bring out a lot of the depth. And then just kind of a subtle dry brush. And we'll pick out some bits of the rubble with a nice grey as well. Just to add some visual interest. Just get all the way underneath. Yeah, I did this Tyrannid pile quite a while back when I was just using texture paste for most stuff, whereas now I've got like cork, so I could have built up the structure a lot better with that nowadays. But I don't really want to strip the whole base. It's nice. It's got nostalgia behind it, being one of my first kind of more scenic bases, and then that kind of sparks off the rest of this army's base design, which is based off of this sub-faction's kind of ongoing war with the Tyranids on their home planet, which is a nice little tidbit that I like to reflect in my minis. Kind of bits of lore just sprinkled in the paint job or conversion or basing, whatever I do. Got a lot coming up there. So I'll move that out short a bit. Too much. There you go. Just gonna turn the light down a bit. More. Yeah, I'll do that. Cool. Can't do much. So I actually need to check Twitch for a sec. I will return the music in a moment. What was I doing? Right. Cool. I should probably just keep that open actually. Sorry about that. Painting shall resume momentarily. Cool. No feedback loop happens. Good. Cool. Get a nice jazzy track now to enjoy. Yeah, almost done with the Mournfang. Don't mind the paint shaking activating the voice there. That rattling noise was not me talking, I swear. Okay. That's a tough spot to get into. So I'll do that now. That's gonna be very tough to paint. You only noticed that at an extreme angle. We can keep that a little secret down there. There's a bit underneath the Tyranid pile that you can just about see underneath it. So I'm just going to pretend that area does not exist, for it is not visible on the surface. Gotta get the edges and through the cracks. We'll touch up the trim later, so it's alright for it to go brown, like this for now. Because yeah, as I just said, we'll come back in with a nice black and clean that up. There you go. As it's looking from this angle, yeah, I need to get underneath a little bit. This is another bit I'm pretty pleased with. These little like fence post bits. I was really proud when I worked out how to make those. I was kind of basing them off of like the kind of old iron railings you get around some like graveyards and stuff. They like the black ones with the spikes on them. Don't know if you know other type, but that was my main inspiration. That kind of just industrial wrought iron feels very Admech-y and very Warhammery to me. So you'll see, basically my strategy for painting them is I just do a base coat with black, and then I come in and dry brush with a kind of grey metallic, and I pick out rust, I believe. I'm not sure which order I do the metallic and rusting, but I do know that both are involved. Okay. Making a mess of my hand. I don't know if you can see that there. This happens when I'm doing bases. Just gets everywhere. Because I'll like paint over the rim and it'll just go all over my fingers. It's a bit of a mess. So I'll just wash it off later. Okay, almost there now with that. So when it comes to the turret in a moment, my main colour for my vehicles has been yellow for this scheme, with black as kind of an accent colour, and then grey as the third accent, really. Which is a nice scheme. It's technically an official scheme, but it hasn't. It's literally there's like 2 images of this subfaction in the book, from what I could find. But I was like, yeah, I want B looking Admeg. That sounds cool. Just make him black and yellow. It's either that or I think it's Styges. That's how you pronounce it. It's basically inverted Mars, with black robes and red armor, which is another nice scheme. I might do it in the future at some point. But for now, I got my nice B mech. I think this is literally the last little spot. I might have missed a bit, in which case I have to go back and touch that up. I think it's the last spot. There's a lot of cork flaking up though, which isn't great. Is that getting there? Yeah, you can probably see it. We've got pretty much all. There's that little bit by the foot. That's the main bit that's left, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. There's maybe a little bit at the edge of that pile there. And this rock will come in with grey with that for that large rock. So yeah, it looks like it's just this foot around here left now, which is cool. There we go. So many bits flaking off. No. I thought I sealed it in. I'm trying to flick them up. There we go. It's looking nice. Cool. So then with the same brush, I'm just gonna grab my Agrex shade. I could probably put this up in my storage area. Cool. So yeah, we will get the Agrex shade from there, and then just use this large brush and just basically just put it all over. And then whilst that wash is still wet, I'll stipple on some other washes. Like I've got a Null Oil and a Reichland Flesh, just to give some tonal variation, which kind of adds to the naturalness of the base. Cool. Good, make sure the brush is dry. Clean up all the bits that have. Yeah, there's a bunch under here. Oops. Clean this up. There we go. Give us a good shake again. I can highly recommend something like this, like a paint pot holder for washes. The amount of times I've spilt washes, I do not want to recount. It's ridiculous at this point. Luckily, most of them I was able to kind of scrape them up, but this means that there's basically a pretty much 0% chance, yeah, because I could just knock it as much as I want, and it'll not fall over. So just get a healthy amount of wash on here. Doesn't matter if this goes on the metal or any other bits, because we'll clean that up later. And for the metal even, it'll just make it grungy looking, which is what we're really going to be going for. The other thing that this wash is going to do is help the section here with the texture paste kind of blend in more with the just the Mornfang, because it's a slightly different color between the two. Give us a healthy dosage of wash, and then we'll leave it for a while. And we'll come back to it later. Yeah, my hope is that we're able to do the base today. It feels attainable. Look how far already. We've basically pretty much done the main color on it, almost to completion already, apart from highlight. So it's got a long way in what, half an hour. So it shouldn't take us that long to do the rest. And then we get to do some nice detail work with the Tyranids and the poor Skitarii head that's decapitated on the front. Where's that? There. It's not very visible from this angle. But yep, try and get this on. Try and keep it wet so then I can do the non-oil and Reichland as mentioned previously. I might even do some Athonian on this, you know. I'm feeling a nice little bit of kind of khaki green. Give it a little bit of extra. So yeah, how I tend to approach this, I come in with the either the most predominant color or the color I know that is going to be not the roughest as in like the hardest, but as in the one I'm going to be the most rough with, like what I need to dry brush with, what I'm going to need to like heavily wash. Basically, what color that what color is going to splash onto the others the most, because then I can not have to worry about cleaning them up later on as much as I would otherwise have to. Cool. Just got a couple of little spots left to wash, and then I'll bring in the other two and grab the Athonian from my paint tray. So yeah, I'm just going to use a heavy amount of this where it's needed. Still so many loose bits of debris. I don't know how I can get that any better, because I've sealed it down with PVA. I've sprayed over it with spray paint as well. I almost said paste paint then. God, my brain sometimes. Paste paint, jeez. You tell I'm tired. Okay, that's looking pretty much there now. So I'll just wash this brush out and then grab the other washes. Or shades, whatever you want to call them. The thinned paints. Where's the Athonian? It's up here somewhere. That's Beota. That's Coelia. There's the Athonian. Close the flag racks. Put it away. Cool. So I'll do non first. I'm only focusing the kind of areas that would be more shadowy, but it's probably just speckle it a bit everywhere. And again, nice liberal amount of this. And ideally I want it to kind of bleed in with the already put down Agrex if it's still wet, although this is a big base, so it's not likely to be fully wet anymore. Just go in, picking out mostly random bits. Probably do one more round of splodging. I'll go under there as well. Cool. Stun on. I'll probably do less of the Athonian because I don't want it to look too alive. I'll put some tufts on this later, but I've got some nice dead grass tufts, which I like to use with these. They don't stand out as much visually, but they set the vibe. Okay. Athonian. I'll do Reichland first, and then I'll do Athonian. Yeah, I've not got much Reichland left. Need to get some more. Cool. So, yep. As we did with the Knoll, picking out some random spots. Can even overlap with some of the areas of the Knoll oil. And just get some nice variation. What are my fingers? How did I spill wash? Oh well. At least it's not a whole pot over. Cool. That's why I got the mat. Doesn't cover much space, but it's useful for that kind of situation. Okay. Do some around this fence, because that's been a bit neglected. Into that foot. To the middle. Cool. That's that. And then, last but not least, some green. Should we grab some water? Okay, cool. Where were we? Green. That's what I forgot to with the Reichland. I give it a shake, I don't think. Or the Knoll. Doesn't make a huge difference, but especially with paints you don't use very often, it's good to give them a little bit of a shake just to homogenize the paint again. Like I have a white that literally separates out if I don't use it for a day. It's better than my old white though. That dried out like in a week, which wasn't great. Whereas this one's better than that. At least it goes back together after it splits. Okay. So currently this looks a bit of a washy mess, but yeah, it should dry nice. Hopefully be able to spot the kind of differences here and there. However, with a more textured base like this, it might be a bit harder to see. But we'll further enhance it when we come in with the dry brush. A bit of pile I forgot. There we go. Cool. So now I'm just going to set this aside for a little while. We'll come back to it. What paints do I need now? There's bits of cork everywhere. Like literally all over my desk. And me. Well, cool. That's more base paints. Let's dry off the brush. Okay, so yeah, this is what we're working with for the turret. Wonderful. I'm just gonna grab some paints from Rick. Get some metallics, lead belcher and iron warriors. I'd use them interchangeably. They look pretty similar to me. After a wash as well, they look basically the same. What else do I need? Need a black. I've already got a black. But there. The yellow. There we go. We'll need a brass. A screaming bell. What else? For now. The base. My blue for my like energy weapons, I guess. Although I'll probably do that in a later stage after we do our shades, actually, because it tends to run into the like recesses on the gun barrel and the lights. Do we need anything else? Yeah, maybe some other paints for the pilot, but I'll grab those later. Well, we'll just get started with this. So for this, I'm kind of going with the standard Dunecrawler design, paint-wise, which you kind of already see with this black section on here. I need to just make that yellow, but I'm going to do a kind of stripe down that, which is fairly standard for Dunecrawlers. That's what you tend to see on them. And then yeah, the rest of the hull, is that what you call it? The plating. Yeah, the plating will be this yellow, which we'll highlight up with a dry brush later, because I like that technique on a night that I painted a while back. Basically doing this Avaland and then doing Reikland Flesh Shade, which is why I have so little of it, because I just coat it on everything. And then I came in with a lighter yellow with a dry brush, and it got some really nice texture onto the model, even though it was mostly flat surfaces. So I'm gonna try and recreate that again here. So yeah, thinking of that, I'll probably just paint the bits yellow for now. They're going to be yellow. And then similarly to the base, wash them and dry brush them. So probably going to base this, wash this, put this aside, and then pick up the base again. Basically swap them. I think I've done most of it already. Base coat wise. Maybe a bit on this underneath. Like those crevices, but the side panels are pretty much done. We'll go over this black bit on the front. Yep, not too much. A couple little panels. Again, using the same brush. It's pretty much my standard medium, like vehicle and basing brush, really. So the issue with yellow is it can be quite watery sometimes. So you might need to do a couple of coats. Most people advise doing a couple of thin coats anyway. A lot of the time, though, weirdly, I find my paints to be already quite thin. Plus, I don't see a noticeable increase in texture or loss of detail, rather, personally. So I tend to just do the one if I can. The issue with this is, as it's not on a base, it's going to be hard to kind of hold it as we go around. But I'm just going to cover these panels that I haven't done. Just going to reinforce the yellow on the bits I've already painted. Try not to touch the bits I've just painted, that would be bad. There we go. Nothing more on there needs to be yellow, really. I don't think. The top of this hatch, could probably do with it. Based on the art I'm working off of. It's on my other monitor. Try not to touch this antenna too much because I found on some of the models that it snaps off quite easily, unfortunately. And it's quite fiddly to repair. Well, yeah, we'll just do an overall yellow coat, basically. It would be nice if they did a yellow spray. I don't think they do a yellow spray. They might do. I'll have to invest in that. Although I've not got too much more of this army to base coat now. Plus a lot of time lead belcher is equally as useful. Due to the heavy bits of mechanics. So on this bit that I've already painted black a little bit, I'm probably going to have to do a second or third coat due to the darkness of the undercoat at this stage. We'll see though. Yeah, it's not too bad coverage. But yeah, I'll just do I don't know if you can see, but on the top of that light, it's a bit patchy. Doesn't look too bad on the camera. In person, it looks a bit patchy. Make sure to get this top bit as well. Some of these bits we'll pick out with the standard kind of gunmetal later on, but for the most part, I'm just gonna do them yellow just in case. No. It's gonna be fun to paint this little guy in the top. It's a really nice this detail I liked about this model. I'm hopefully going to be getting a couple more of these, which I should be at least recording, but probably streaming the building and painting of, like this one. I'll do them slightly differently to this one, definitely with the base scheme. I've got a really cool idea for one of them, but I won't reveal too much about that currently. Let's say it involves more Tyranids and potentially a larger Tyranid, which will be fun. Just a little bit more yellow to go, and then we'll bring back the wash and give that a wash. Hopefully the base is dry by then. Otherwise I might have to whip out my infantry to start on. But I don't really want to be juggling 3 things at once particularly. But I might have to. We shall see. Cool. I'm going to do the inside of this dish, even though... Well, it's a hatch, not dish. This is the dish. This is the hatch. Because even though I'm probably going to come back in with my undertone colour, which is grey, it'll be good to just get some colour on it, just in case I change my mind or anything. It's nicer to do it as part of this step. Yeah, there's some pretty nice details on this model to pick out. Like I mentioned, the pilot. Is pilot the right word? I assume so. Driver, that's really the... He's more of a gunner than a driver. The driver would be in the side of there. So... Yeah, he's more of a gunner, isn't he? Okay. So together, can't forget about the underside. Even though it's probably not going to be noticed by most people, I'll know. And yeah, there might be some like kind of moments where you'll see it. If you pick it up and have a look around it, it'd be nice to make sure it's all covered at least. I probably won't focus about painting in here too much, as sometimes the glue can strip off the paint and it can make like a weird effect I've found. So trying to get too much paint in there. These cables are a bit annoying to get around. Nice detail, but a bit tricky with such a large brush. Almost there with the yellow. Do I have enough for my palette? Probably. Hopefully. We'll see. Go underneath these tools. These wires are tricky. I think I got it. Missed a bit around the pipe. Really should have got a yellow spray. That would have made this a lot easier. This ladder's a nice detail as well. I like the little things on the models that you kind of don't think about, but it's good that they're included. Like the ladder, because like how else would he get in the gunner seat? Okay, cool. I think the yellow is pretty much all there for now. So I'm just gonna. Oh yeah, it's the bit that was black before. I'll leave that to dry for a sec. I'm just gonna grab some more water, so I'll be right back. Yeah, see you in a second. There we go. Cool. I have returned. Sorry about that. I could feel my voice going, so I just wanted to refresh my bottle. Okay. So yeah, there's a little bit of patchy yellow that I'll just touch up now. And then set it aside for a moment. And do a quick dry brush of the base. And then wash all this. I have to work out which wash. I was originally saying they'll do Broken Flesh shade, I think it's called. Yeah, it's kind of like a sepia tone, but with a slight pinkish tinge to it. But to me, it pretty much looks just like sepia or like just like a light brown, basically. Cool. I kind of like it being slightly patchy, so I don't want to like overdo that too much. It's going to add to the grunge of it that we'll be getting in later. Anywhere else? A couple of bits in here. What I forgot. Is that everything? A little bit there too. That's that. That's there. Not too much paint there. Okay, cool. That shouldn't take too long to dry, but yeah, we'll just do a quick dry brush of our kind of base and legs portion. Is that dry? No, it's still wet. Okay, cool. We'll just wait for a moment. And then we'll wash. Back so you can see the wonderful mini. Just dry out my brush. Bit too wet after that. Okay. Close up our yellow. Should I try Reichland? I think I did Agrax on the night. So I'll bring the night down. I'll show you. Might as well. Just be a sec. Oh, there we go. It might be a bit dusty. Yeah. This is the night that I've mostly painted. It's pretty much there. It's just the legs I need to touch up a little bit before it's done. Yeah, I'll show you that view. See, the grey is a bit too matte here for my liking. I need to grunge that up a little bit. But it's one of the models I'm most pleased with. And yeah, this kind of yellow effect that you can see on the top here is what I'm going for. Where it's got this nice kind of texturing and contrast to it. I think it looks really nice, personally. So I can get it closer, let it focus. The close focus on this camera is rubbish. Let's make that. But yeah, that's the effect I'm going for. Hopefully. Oh yeah. Okay, that should be dry. No. Yeah, as I was saying. Right, clicked Agrax. I think I did Agrax on that model. Yeah, sure, why not? Let's go high contrast. Might as well go bold. Yeah, the main difference between the two, like using the two, would be darkness, really. Almost used that without the holder, which would have been potentially catastrophic. So thank God I remembered. So yeah, again, fairly liberal coat, so like a high contrast. I might not be able to coat all of this actually, due to having to hold it somewhere. I really need to look into painting handles. I've been meaning to for a while. Well, and wet palettes are two things that I need to research a bit. Because I hear them being talked a lot about in the hobby, but don't know if that should be helpful. Wet palettes feel like they'd be helpful for doing glazes, which I've started to get into a little bit with my Tyranid. When I was doing Tyranids, I've kind of put that on the back burner for a bit though. Oh god damn it, that's the floating camera shade. No, what have I done? The Agrax is up here. Oh, we got a green Dunecrawler now. Oh well, it shouldn't make too much of a difference. We can just make that a bit rusty. It's fine. It'll be fine. Nothing to worry about. This is the follies of being colorblind. Can't tell brown from green. Let's try this again. Definitely Agrax, definitely Agrax. Okay. That's a bit strong. It'll be fine. So I'll just go back over this Athonian and kind of blend it with the Agrax, hopefully. Return it to a more warmer tone, hopefully. I mean, I literally do not see a difference apart from darkness, but I'm sure for someone with normal color vision, it looks different. Cool, yeah. So what I'm probably gonna do, God, I got wash on my fingers, is paint the sides and top, and then that allows me to hold on to like the bottom and some of these like outer reaching bits whilst I paint. And then I can come in and do the bottom later on. I think that'll be a good idea. So this is going to look pretty bad and pretty muddy to begin with, but promise me it'll redeem itself later. Yeah, it adds some nice texture and some nice depth, I find personally. It makes it look properly grungy. Cool. Don't want to rest on that side too much. We'll come in and do this side now. Okay. Again, strong. Don't want it to pull too much. I do like a bit of pooling. A bit controversial, but do like the kind of harsh contrast it provides. So yeah, make sure I get most of it and that I don't get too much kind of water lines. Make sure to just get this turrety bit on the turret. Double turret going on here. Yeah, so I'll just mop up some of these bits. Again, I do like a little bit of pooling, but that does come a point where it's definitely too much even for me. How are we looking? Pretty good. Go along here. So yeah, I'll do that in a bit. It's fiddly to hold, unfortunately. Got to go around this. Back engine, power cell thingy. And the underside of the hatch as well. And the binoculars, or periscope. Kind of the same thing. Okay. I've got just go around there. Even though I'll be painting over that in brass, like this bit later. It'll still be nice to do that now. Is that definitely everything? Do the inside of this just lightly, because why not? Okay. And then under here. Okay. That works. Just pick up the mess I made. Cool. So then I will set this on its bottom. I'll leave it on the mat to dry. Sorry about that, I was just grabbing some water briefly. Have I washed this out? No, I have not yet. I'm really pleased with the little avatar that you can see in the bottom left as well. Probably noticed it by now, but no. I had the idea for it, went for it, and it paid out. It paid off. Brain, not working. Oh, my tiredness is catching up with me. Yeah, adds to the theme of things. It's nice, it's quirky. Plus it means I don't have to worry about how I look as well. Makes me less self-conscious. Even though I'm messing up words every couple of seconds. Jeez. Is this on loop now? Feels like it's playing just the same ones. Are these just also similar song waves? I think so. I'll keep it on. Okay, cool. So now that the wash on this base is pretty much dry, we will grab a colour to dry brush with. So I've got both Scrag Brown and Deathclaw Brown here. So Scrag Brown being slightly darker. Ooh, focused for a second there. Oh my god. Is that going to focus? Nope. Scrag Brown being slightly darker. I'm going to use that for my first more kind of heavy dry brush. And then we'll come in with Deathclaw for a lighter dry brush. And then we can start picking out colours on the legs and on the base for the other sections of it. Okay, cool. Just gonna put a little bit of this on the palette. So although this is a pretty tattered brush, I do have a couple of other brushes that I tend to use more for dry brushing. I have a classic kind of Citadel dry brush, and I have makeup brushes, which are very, very good. Highly recommend. Cool, stick that in the water pot. Cool. Due to the scale of this, I'm just going to use this large kind of makeup brush here. And I'll just do some general kind of circular motions into our paint here. Get it nice and on the brush. And then for me personally, I like to just kind of put it on the back of my hand because then I can feel how kind of wet the paint is, which is odd, but yeah. And then I'll come over like this. Again, doing circular kind of motions. You can just do kind of like a back and forth stroke as well. It depends on what kind of effect you're going for. And I'm just going to come in here heavily with this and get some colour down. Pick up some more Scrag. So now, even though it's got brown, this pretty much looks orange to me. So I feel this has a good effect. It's still, due to the like kind of more subtle nature of dry brushing, it leaves it kind of being this dark brown overall. But we do get the hints of a lighter orangey brown throughout. So on the camera, this probably isn't going to make much visual difference, unfortunately, as it's a bit hard to show. Yeah, if I had a better zoom, then I'd be able to show you like the subtle highlights it's going. The other option is to just come in and highlight individual kind of like bits of grain, which is what I'll do probably for the grey rocks that we're going to do later on. But just for the general ground layer, I'll just be doing a dry brush because I'm not as pernickety about exactly where the highlights are. Really? Cool. So I need some more Scrag Brown down there. I'm not going to put that immediately in there because we might need some more in a sec. Once again, load this up. Test it on the back of my hand. That's about right. Then we're gonna go over this bit down here. Again, pretty rough on this personally. Maybe a bit too rough. Yeah, we'll see. Okay, you can kind of see the dry brush on like the claw of that, I think. Where it's kind of lighter along that edge. But yeah. Probably already know, dry brush is going to pick up raised edges and put a little bit of pigment on them and set them apart from the deeper gullies. Now the one difficult part is going to be down here. Later on, closer to the end of this, I'll come in with another dry brush and I'll do like a dusting effect along the legs when they're pretty much done, because I feel that again kind of adds to the grunge and does that really nice effect. Cool. So there we go. That's the more heavier dry brush done. Cool. So just gonna wash this brush, and I'll wash the other one as well whilst we're at it. And then, because we're not using much paint, it's pretty much dries instantly. So we can come in pretty quickly with the lighter dry brush. But the issues makeup brushes is they absorb water like anything. Like, look at that. That is just sopping wet. Yeah, just might need another kitchen roll. I'll try and squeeze it out as much as I can. Okay. It doesn't need to be fully dry. I'll probably let it just kind of air dry mostly, because it's just so wet. You can see my wonderful rag becoming orangey. There we go, that'll do. So we're probably not going to be able to use that again today, or at least for like an hour, whilst that dries out. And then we'll just dry our workhorse brush. Okay, try and dry this. Okay. Okie doke. Next, we don't need the scrag anymore. You can see this kind of dirty effect that the Agrex is having on this as well whilst we're dry brushing. Okay, cool. So yeah, onto the Deathclaw Brown. So we are going to be just putting it on the same palette with the same workhorse brush. Onto a different slot though, because the other bit might still be a bit damp. Try and get that all out with this brush. And then for this, I'm going to be using the A Citadel dry brush, which is a kind of flat brush. So this is more for back and forth motions rather than the circular motions, which the round-headed brushes are a bit better for. So we'll just, again, try and pick up paint in those directions on the palette. Choose a different patch of my skin. There we go. Kind of subtle effect and pretty not damp anymore. And then we're just going to lightly tap over the top here, just to get a more subtle effect, really. So a lot of this is rough work. We'll be doing some nice kind of slower, gentler, fine detail work later on, but for now, yeah, we're just kind of roughing it up with this base. It's kind of what you got to do. I mean, you could do like really highly detailed. This kind of scheme I've gone with isn't really for that particularly. Even like if you're doing like an urban thing, you can pretty much just slap paint on it pretty easily. I'm just going to pick up some more paint off the palette, wipe it off, then come back in. You can really see it starting to have an effect now, which will look really nice. You can also see some of the patches where we've put the Nuln Oil, where it's looking a lot darker than other areas, which is really nice. Got some nice effects going on. Cool, make sure to go around the edges. And I think the kind of main tone for that is done. Cool. Still a little bit wet on the turret there. We can move it off of the mat now though, so we've got a little bit more space to work with. And I think next I'm going to come in and do, yeah, I'll just do some simple rock highlighting. So I'll pick out some of the larger chunks of debris or kind of cork that I've placed down, and I'll just go through and make like about half of them a grayer, which also kind of give it more of a sense of rubble and give some distinction between them. Because yeah, the idea of this is it's partially just an arid wasteland, but also I want the idea that this is a city ruins at the same time. But a city ruins that's been there for a while, so it's pretty dusty, it's pretty covered in sandy kind of dirt, as you can hopefully see. Cool. Make sure to wash this one as well. Don't want any dead brushes. I could use them for glue, but I'm pretty fond of these nice flat-headed brushes. Okay, cool. For this, I'm going to be getting out some of my smaller brushes. And we are, funnily enough, going to be using Mechanicus Standard Grey. It is the standard for the Mechanicum. Move all that over there for later. Don't need these two anymore. These can go back up where they live. Because a lot of time I forget and just leave them lying around, which isn't great. Cool, so I'll grab my largest brush first of all. I say largest. It's pretty old. Still like battered a little bit. Because for a lot of basing work I don't want to use my best brushes. Yeah, this is kind of my largest of my small brushes, if you will. And yeah, we'll get some grey and we'll get going. So the main areas I'm going to be picking out is these very large rocks here, as you may have guessed. These is that they are like giant sections of rockcrete wall that have kind of crumbled and fallen down, and then some of these larger chunks, like the ones sitting on top as well, we'll do in grey, to give a sense that it's broken up due to erosion over time, and just kind of give a very lived-in sense, hopefully. Make sure to get the sides. So what this actually is, like technical wise, this is plaster, I believe it was. Got it in a pack off of Amazon. A basic materials had different grain sizes of cork, and they came with these large plaster chunks, and that was kind of my main things that I used, which worked out well. Yeah, if I were to go back, the main thing I do is I like the cork. I would use less of it, I think, and have it more just to represent the rubble. And I think I'd use the texture paste for the majority because I want it to be more of a sandy feel, which I feel the texture paste does a better job at than the kind of grains. which hopefully I get a chance to do with my future Dunecrawlers and other vehicles. Because yeah, I've got an Iron Strider that's half painted that I'll finish on stream. This that I'm painting today. Might need another stream to finish this. Might be able to get it done today. We'll see. And then I've got a bunch of infantry that I might paint up. We'll see. I'm shifting away from infantry. I'm preferring vehicle admech recently. This is an interesting track. Don't know how well you can hear it. It's at least different to the other ones that feel like they've just been the same track on repeat 4 times. It's nice though. Nice to have a little bit of just ambience to fill the brain space whilst I'm not talking. For me and for you guys, I imagine, as well. So yeah, I'll probably do another kind of more targeted dry brush later on, as I mentioned. It should get an effect of dust across, hopefully. I've thought about trying pigment powders. That could be a nice thing to try on video, because those are apparently good for like dusty effects and stuff. Not had any experience myself with them before. But yeah, as you can see, picking out these large rocks in the grey, just going to add some differentiation and some difference, and then we'll be doing the same with these black fences along the edges here, and the Tyranid pile, which is mostly going to be that same brown, but we'll have those kind of like flashes of the creamy color and some red, hopefully. As I'm mostly painting them in the Kraken style, I believe it is. Whatever the red Tyranids are, I'm pretty sure they're the Kraken ones, which are the ones that fought against this sub-faction in the lore, because the lore is important. The lore is sacred. We must withhold the lore. Withhold? Uphold. We're not keeping it from the general public. Lore is for everyone. You cannot privatize lore. And by lore, I'm not meaning L-A-W. I'm meaning L-O-R-E. Just for clarification. Not the largest fan of the police force, but yeah, that speaks for itself, really, in this day of age. Anyway, let us move away from more political talk and back to the painting. Cool. So I'm just gonna go around the edges of these. Second shot. I'll move that closer for you guys. There you go. So this is more kind of chilled out, just kind of brainless painting, but also detail. It's a nice mix. Base work. I like making bases. And happily just paint bases all day long. Your brain can just kind of clock out. But you can also get some really nice visual effects, and you got some nice space to do some cool things. Plus, it doesn't really matter what you do on the base, because pretty much it's going to be tournament legal still. Whereas, like, if you mess with the model too much, it might not be tournament legal. Although I'm not too fussed about tournaments. I want to do some like heavily converted things later down the line, because for me, I prefer the artsier side of the hobby than the playing. The playing's nice. I do enjoy playing. but mostly with friends. I'm not really into the tournament scene that much. There's like one at my local game store that I might go to, but that's more of a relaxed tournament. They call it Fun Hammer. I don't know if other stores do it. Yeah, I haven't mentioned it already. I've kind of have I? Yeah, I briefly kind of insinuated it with the kind of liking the more weathered look, but personally, I want this army to have a feel that they're using quite a lot of old tech that's been around for a while, and they're just kind of repurposing machines that have been there since the last war, really, between the Tyranids that invaded, and also the Nurgle that invaded before that. They weren't having a great time. They're the only surviving Forge world of the sector now, in the lore. The lore. So yeah. Hence the ruins and rubble and bodies, unfortunately. There we go. We're getting there with the bigger rocks, and then I'll switch brush and move over to picking out some of the smaller bits. I'll leave one of these Tyranids because I have a mate who's starting a Tyranid army, and so I'm interested to see what his color scheme is going to be, and I might include a Tyranid of his color scheme as a little reference or Easter egg, if you will, which we both think would be cool. So. He hasn't settled on a scheme fully yet, so I'll wait for him to do that, and I'll ask him probably his method of painting. His main one he's thinking of currently is like a frozen Tyranid kind of look, which would be cool. Like some icy boys feasting on the flesh of their enemies after emerging from the snow and ice. It's a cool idea. Or another one he thought of was like Pacific Rim Godzilla-esque kind of kaiju Tyranids, which would be also equally as cool, I think. I don't know what you guys think. Feel free to let me know. I'll let him know. I'll pass it. I'll pass it on as well. Cool. So this little patch of rock's done. Sides and everything. Just a little bit left to do on this rock and that rock, I think. And then we can pick up the little ones. Again, this will look nicer when we wash it down and dry brush it. Because we're gonna do a targeted dry brush on these as well. And anything that's kind of rocky or earthy, I feel. Those are the same words. What was I saying? Natural or kind of earthy. Yeah, there we go. I feel it's best to kind of organically highlight it a bit more with dry brush. I mean, it is nice to get like the amount of control you can with like classic highlighting as well, or like edge highlighting. But when it comes to the ground, I feel it's enough to just do like a fairly quickish dry brush. Then you get a nice effect, and you don't have to worry about it too much. Sorry, I had a cough. Cool. Yeah, if you see the little Skitari me in the corner light up and you don't hear anything, it's not your audio. I have separate mutes for him and for the stream. It's like if I need to sneeze or cough or anything, I can't do them both quickly, unfortunately. Okay, it's a bit fiddly to get the side of this, but details matter, personally. So I'm going to go under this leg. It's really hard to see, it'd be hard to see, but yeah, I'm basically poking under the leg, down through, and then doing like a slight swiping motion of the side of this rock in here. Cool. That's looking nice. This end bit, which is a lot easier to paint. Go around here. Cool. Last little bit. Cool. I'll keep that pen open, I'll wash out the brush, and we'll switch brushes. I'll take a sip of water first though. Okie doke. God, it's already been an hour and a half. Time flies. Okay. Put the protective cap back on this. And put it back in the holder. Sorry, my arm just shoved under the camera for a sec. Cool. So this is my slightly smaller of my small brushes. This is my medium brush. Let's repair the tip of it slightly. I am a brush licker, I have to report. I mean, how else are you going to reform the shape of the brush? Cool. So, yep, as mentioned, just going to pick out these rocks. Let's do it on the side there. Can just do that now as well. But yeah, going to go along, starting with these ones on top that are nice and easy. And to get into the more finer parts of this rock here as well. Like so. God, I miss a large area there. Could definitely improve that. That's okay though. I can touch that up now. Sometimes you don't even need to, because like what I've done, you don't notice them at first. Depends on kind of what level of quality you're going for, or what you want to do really. It's in a tutorial, but if you wanted tips, there's my 2 cents. Cool. So there are some quite small bits of the cork that I'm still gonna pick out, just again for kind of visual noise and difference. But with the small ones, it's a very subtle thing. There's a lot of hair on her. I need to stop letting the cats in. Or at least storing my miniatures better as well. That's another option. Right, I'm gonna kind of splodge on a little bit onto this pile as well. I really like how this Tyranid up here is looking. It's looking suitably dusty and dirty. You kind of get the impression that there's a Tyranid there, but it looks almost fossilized, if you will, underneath that. My hand's a bit of a mess now. Oh well. Cool. So there's some larger rocks in here that you can kind of pick out there. I'm gonna be picking out, as I just said. Not all of them. I do want to keep some of the original kind of orangey dirt there as well, but you know, just every so often. Grab a rock. I can paint it roughly grey. Again, want a little bit of overspill as well to kind of add to the dustiness of it. And it's not not bad if you don't fully cover it either. There we go. I feel it looks nice. Yep. So just do a little bit of dusting as well in between some of these because there's a little bit of the texture paste. So yeah, you can even pick it out on the camera. You can just see those little speckles of grey, and if you're on this here, the small kind of patches, it just all adds to it personally. Things that you don't notice at first until you look closely, but your eye will notice it even if your brain doesn't fully catch on. Got some nice big rocks here, which we'll make sure to get around the foot. I did, when I was gluing this down and placing these, make sure to kind of get a kind of cohesiveness. So there were I made sure to put larger rocks around the plaster sections to kind of help with the rubble idea, really. At least that was the thought process behind it. I hope that's how it comes out. Cool. Again, just picking out little bits here and there. It's looking really nice, if I do say so myself. Keep missing bits on the sides of these rocks, unfortunately. It's not too bad. Nice little rock there. Pick out that one. Sort of what happened to the music for a sec there, jeez. Also, oh no, is it stuck? That's just part of the song. Really hope this gives the impression of kind of rubble to other people. I know it does to me, but I came up with the idea, obviously. So I hope it is the same for others. I think I'll probably focus on the base for a little bit, at least until we do our next washer, because then I don't really have a choice, so I'll have to move back across. I do like the top half, but there's just, as I said, there's something just really nice about doing bases personally that I just really love doing. Again, kind of do some broad, kind of more just dustings of grey here and there, which on top of the wash we did earlier will increase the tonal kind of differences here and there, giving some nice interest. There we go. You can kind of see it from there. I think it looks really nice. So you can also see that most of our kind of little rebel bits are on the side of this big rebel, and back here as well, which again kind of hopefully gives that effect that this was like a wall and then it shattered this way. Where else trying to pick out? A couple of little bits, but I don't think there's too many more. I think this is a good level, or at least we're getting to a good level. Just do this patch on here because this bit's looking a little bit bare, and maybe a little bit more on that pile. I like it being quite brown. Yeah, we'll just do a bit on this side here. But I'll keep the mound mostly the same. Okey-doke. I think I'm pretty much there now. Yeah. Bits still keep falling off, damn it. Just do some dust around there, and voila. Clean the brush once again. Yeah, I'll finish off these rocks first before I move on to the next area, kind of section of the base, if you will. Yeah, cool. Make sure I get the right shade this time. So I am just going to be right back once again before I get started on that. Just be about 5 minutes. Cool. I'll see you soon. I'll leave the lo-fi on. Might as well. Hello, hello, hello. I have returned. The music just decided to go. Cool. Yeah, I'm back. We will continue with the rocks. Again, nothing too special here. This time, mostly no though. We might do, yeah. I'll do some stippling of the other shades again. That works really well with stone, from what I found. Again, any earthy kind of materials works well with. Yeah, what brush do I want to use for this? Tell you what, we'll go back to the largest of the small brushes, as it is known forever and always. Because to give us control, but still be able to cover the larger rocks without having to worry about it drying too quickly. Cool. So again, pretty heavy application for me personally. Just gonna go all over it. Make sure to go along the sides. Oh, is everything up? Yep, Mike's. Sorry, Chad's check. Cool. Yeah, the nice thing with the plaster, it has this really nice texture along most of it, especially the sides, where it's just kind of just bobbly. But that gets so amplified by the shade and the dry brush. It's really nice, especially the edges. You'll hopefully be able to see in a little bit. But the edges from the dry brush get really nice looking. I should probably just do one rock and then stipple on that, and then do a different rock. But I'm already not doing that, so I shall continue. We'll do this far rock. Yeah, there's kind of crater that formed from when I ripped a head off it. You can just about see that. Yeah, just in the center there. Kind of looks cool, actually. I was going to say, oh yeah, that looks bad, but no, that looks kind of cool. We'll add some extra texture. Again, got to make sure I do the sides, because I always forget, as we saw earlier. There we go. So I could do some of the shade on the smaller rocks, which I might just do kind of a slight little bit like that. But for the most part, I'm mostly going to be focusing my attention with the shade on these larger slabs, because that's what you're going to mostly, it's going to make the most difference on them. It will make a slight difference to the small ones, but a barely noticeable one. But from these ones, when there's lots of them, then it's kind of worth it to do it as well. Yeah, again, kind of muddying it down, giving us some nice darker tones and some slightly different shades on it is all what we want. So I'll go along some of these. Cool, so whilst that's still slightly wet, I'm just going to put this in there. I'm going to take medium small brush, and I'm going to put the flesh shade back, and we'll get the dreaded camo shade back. Try not to forget it's in there this time. Cool. Slight shake, and then we'll get a little bit. And just blob it on in a couple of bits. Again, this kind of gives the appearance of some slight vegetation growing, or some like oil or grime that's there. And if it's still wet, it adds this really nice kind of blending effect that happens whilst both colours still kind of staying separate. It's almost like tie-dye, if you will. It's nothing like tie-dye, but it's that same kind of swirly effect where it slightly bleeds into each other, but still remains distinct enough to be its own colour. I tried this effect on some like nice cobbled street tiles that I got for another project I worked on a little bit back that I since abandoned, fortunately or unfortunately. But I learned some good stuff from that, like this kind of technique of using multiple shades. go. Just do a little bit of camera shade. I don't want it too lush, as I stated before. And then we'll just come in quickly with the earth shade. Probably not going to be able to get the whole model done today, but I'll probably come back in next Monday at a similar time to continue on this. And we should be able to get it finished on Monday, I reckon. Ooh, I could do this. I could do tomorrow as well. I'll say definitely Monday, maybe tomorrow. I'll post on Twitter if I can remember my login. Yeah, I'll post on Twitter if I do end up streaming tomorrow. So best way to see if I am or not is to have a look at that. That's where I post stream updates mostly. Maybe retweet some things I like. I've got to get back into using Twitter. I haven't used it in a while. As you may have been able to see, this channel's been inactive for a while. And so I'm just getting back into the swing of things, really. Trying something new that I'm more into now. I used to do a lot of Minecraft stuff back when that was in its second heyday. Because I love Minecraft. I still play it, not nearly as much as I did back then, and originally when I first played it when I was younger. Cool. Wash up these brushes. Those shades are done again for now. Yeah, tell you what, whilst those are drying, we will go back to our nice little top. As you can see, it's had a really nice effect in most of that. Added some proper grime to it. And then we'll... Do I shade underneath? I probably should. Yeah, tell you what, we'll shade underneath with Agrax. And then we'll come in with a dry brush a bit later. Cool. Make sure to wash brushes. And then I'll put their protectors back on. That one's for that one. Just one at a time. Is that right? No, didn't feel right. Small one on there, and larger one on here. Cool. So I'm going to use our trusty friend right here, and I'll grab the Agrax again. Double check this time, it's definitely Agrax that shade. Cool. Then opposite to earlier. Flipping on its back, being careful of the antenna. It's already weakened. Is there a way I can do it so it's not putting pressure on it? Not really. Put it on its side. It is so fragile. I mean, I love it, but it's also very delicate. Probably fine. I just need to not do any harsh movements. Cool. Just like earlier. Nice liberal amount. Actually a bit more in this case, I think. And I might actually do some Null oil in here too. See how I feel. Because this is supposed to be very grimy. So this is where all the actual like oil and machinery is. Like the outer casing will have some as well, but not nearly to the extent this underneath bit will. If you think about it. Cool. Doesn't really matter where we put it. Just get nice coverage in general, because we're going to be painting back over some of these bits later on, or at a later date. Cool. Yeah, make sure I get some nice pools. I basically use a wash like a streaking grime a little bit. Don't know if anyone else does. Might just be a me thing. Cool. Put on a bit of cloth to dry. Naturally. And put the shades again for the third time. Put the shades away. I don't think I said away. Oh well. Do, 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 do. Little song break. It's a vibe. What is next? These washes, yeah, they're pretty much dry. Just wait a little bit for them to properly dry off. And then I can come in with the dry brush. Have some water. I'll grab the paints for that. Cool. So I'll probably, yeah, I'll just do a all over dry brush with one tone. I don't want to do kind of a two-step one with this, as I don't feel it makes too much of a difference. Is that dry yet? So close to being dry. I don't know if you can see it on camera though, but you get, like, you can still see the wet puddles obviously, but on some of the more dry bits, like over here, you can see just slightly. There's like some variation from here into like the middle, into the end, which is what I was kind of going for really, with the stippling of the other shades on top. What else can we do whilst we wait? I could put a little bit of yellow down. That wouldn't hurt. Let's do that. Let's put some yellow on this. So this is just going to be these little leg plates on the side. I believe they're yellow. There's my reference. Yes, they are. Cool. Again with one of the smaller brushes. Just coming in with our Avalanche Sunset. And probably need 2 coats, I think, because this is a glossy base coat. I'm going to be a bit careful here, because if I can help it, I don't want to have to redo this kind of edge that's already there. So I'll just go along. Places like here, we're doing several thinner coats might be better when you're on such a small scale, because you do get a little bit of texture build up from the brush bristles. That's looking good. Just try my hardest not to touch the drying bits of shade. Yeah, you can kind of see the effect there. There you go. So yeah, we'll need to do another coat of that probably, just to reinforce that colour. And there's a really nice thing that I do with the legs that you hopefully get to see. Because just leaving like all of this silver, even when it's washed down, personally for me isn't nice. So what I do is I stipple on some black and make it look kind of like chip paint along the edge. So it's really nice in my opinion. I did it on the big knight and my small knight, which I use more often in actual games. As a little skirmish anti-space marine boy. Yeah, that's one the Onager Dunecrawler, I think it's called. Yeah. I have two of them. One of them I need to paint, so you might see that on here in the not too distant future. Because yeah, should only need to do the current Iron Strider I've got should only take like a couple of hours to do. The rest of this, the base is almost fully done. So we're just over halfway with the base. And maybe a bit under half on the top. Not fully sure. I need to add a little bit of water because this actually is a little bit too solid. So I just mix it in with the slightly dry paint so then we get a better consistency. Because if I just dampen my brush, then I'll get a very watery mixture, which doesn't really work either. It's kind of equally as bad as having too thick paint. The advantage of not using a wet palette is it dries quickly once I put it down, especially if I use thinner coats. So yeah, I'll use thin coats here. It works a lot better. There you go. Getting a bit more of an even tone coming through now, and then we're just going to muddy that up completely again. So I do, yeah, keeping a little bit of the patchiness is good, but too much just looks like it's a bad paint job. But yeah, so for the rest of this army, planning on getting 2 more Dunecrawlers. One of them, I kind of alluded to how I'm going to base that one earlier, but I definitely know that I want one of them to be a lot more run down. And then, yeah, I think the one that I alluded to, I'll do like more in the middle of battle. Still not fully sure on the rundown one. I'll probably like sketch up a design. That's what I tend to do. Like I've got a rough. Just hide some information. These are like rough sketches of another project I'm working on that's going to be on my YouTube, hopefully in a couple of weeks, which is cool. These are very crude, but yeah, you should be able to see the correlation. It'll be a fun video. I've been thinking about doing like a diorama for a while, and so that's kind of like a sketch of how I was planning it out in my head. And yeah, I think the results so far are really good. Haven't fully finished it yet, but it's going well. Cool. So again, watering down just to get a slightly better consistency, but I don't want it too runny. And that one's pretty much done. I need to come in with a slightly finer brush to do the kind of top around this filigree. What would you call it? This detail that's at the top. So I'm just going to move over to something like this for now. What's the next leg? So I actually come back in because I've put a bit of texture paste on this to give it that kind of slightly battle-worn feel, and to add some texture, which is nice. Okay. Yeah, this is pretty much perfect consistency now. Yeah, slight funny story with this model. When I originally built it, I actually assembled one of these leg panels upside down. I didn't realise until I'd finished, unfortunately. Luckily enough, I was actually able to rip it off without damaging it, which is a miracle. But yeah, that was a thing for a moment. I was gonna explain it away as, oh, it was a factory mistake, not my mistake. Like in world, as in like the Forge World built it wrong rather than I did. Okay. So I can see that the rocks are pretty much done, but I'm just going to continue round with these leg plates whilst I'm at it. Might as well. I do tend to jump from thing to thing, but I might as well continue with what I'm doing rather than go back to that for now. Just get the edge. Always get the edge. That's what I always forget. And then on to the next one. Again, it's fairly therapeutic, fairly simple to do. Takes a bit of concentration, but it's not the end of the world if you mess it up. And it's pretty. Yeah, it's just pretty chill. I can't really say more than that. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, the brush kind of just fits along the edge, so you don't really need to worry about like freehanding anything or stuff like that. You can just kind of drift off. Cool. Just water it down again. It's getting a bit dry. Definitely gonna have to do a little bit of a second pass on this. That's one thing I've definitely found is that over this lead belt, the yellow doesn't take nearly as well as over a white or a black that I've done before. Which is alright. Which means I have to do it a second time and do thinner coats. I believe it's to do with just kind of like the finish of the metallic. That's a nice tune. It's like another song I listen to just in my own free time. Cool. Last leg, and then we'll go back to this leg because it's still a little bit thin. And then we'll just do dry brush of the stone. Then what will we do next? Probably do the yellow of the like lower leg bits. And then I'll do the fences and the tyranids and the more detailed stuff, I reckon. And then we'll have the base pretty much done at that point. Which would be nice. We might be able to actually get this all done today, which would be amazing. Oops, sorry. Just have to check something. There we go. I'm back. My brain drifts off a lot. I often get distracted. was looking at my inspiration board. I was like, could do that. I was just staring at a screen for a good half second. A half minute even. I'll go along there. This one's a bit more of a sloppier leg, but that could be alright. Not fully important. Anything can be cleaned up later. And it's only sloppy if you think it's sloppy. You paint to the level that you would like to paint to. And to your ability as well. But ability can also always change. With practice and dedication and an open mindset. Like I'm nowhere near the best painter. But I'm happy with the level I'm at. Yet, I'm pleased with the majority of my projects, which is good enough for me. Took me a while to get here though. I've been in the hobby for what, 5 years now? Jeez. Is it 5 years? It's got to be around 5 years. Yeah. Yeah, 4 or 5 years, I think. Yeah, we'll call it 5. Yeah, I remember my first paint jobs, they were not the best, but I don't think anyone's ever are. But that's to be expected, really. First time trying anything isn't going to be the best thing ever. Okay, cool. Just touching up this kind of rough paint here. And then, oh yeah, looking nice. We have some yellow on there. Again, I'll wash this down, but I'll probably manually highlight this. And I won't as heavily wash as I do the kind of main body. Because I feel with a heavier wash on the main body, it looks to me that the dry brush stands out more. That's what I find. Cool. Where are we at next? We've got our lighter grey down already, so I don't need to do that. So we got Dawnstone. I like showing every other paint, so it's not that helpful. What was I? Just looking up something. Yeah, so get some of this out. So I'm going to be using the Citadel dry brush again, as it's going to be giving me a little bit more control. I might even, yeah. So I'll get an even smaller dry brush from my other brushes over to my left. That'll work better. Please tell me I have one of them. Oh yeah, I do. There we go. Ugh. Cool. Is that it? There we go. Ugh, sorry about that. Just have to lean a good foot over to my shelf. So yeah, I'll use this one instead, which is about half the size. It's another makeup brush, and yeah, we'll be good for this exact thing. Because yeah, we get some nice control and won't get as much oversplash onto other areas. Of course, this little bit stiff, so just loosen it up. And then, just like earlier, make sure we get the paint nicely into the bristles. Use myself as a canvas for a sec before we come in with the dry brush. So you can see immediately you get some of that texture, niceness coming out on the plaster. I don't know, I just really love the effect that this does on this material, and even with the like little cork rockier bits, I think it looks really nice. There you go, you get this nice crisp edge, basically for free. You don't have to worry about doing like a proper edge highlight or anything. Also, just kind of extend this brush onto the littler rocks and just the general ground to extend that dust we were talking about from earlier. I'll just do a little bit on the top of the rocks to give some texture, like we'll be doing on the other section a little bit later. Go across some of the smaller rocks, and then I'll get some more paint out. There's not too much more there. Yeah. I'm just going to take it straight from the pot onto the brush. Rub it into the palette. Rub it into me. Is that good? Yeah, that'll be good. Cool, so then we'll do the rocks on this side this time. Yeah. So yeah, the other effect this does is where we did the kind of varying shades, as this will bring back some unity to them, which you probably have heard of and seen from other people before. Because yeah, you're basically just returning that same kind of shade back in and applying it evenly across them all. Yeah, this mostly does kind of an edge highlight for these rocks, and then it does kind of accentuate some of the texture we get on them as well. And yeah, looks very nice. Cool. Just quickly go over some areas on here again to kind of give that dust on some areas that we've done slightly grey before. There we go. Perfect. Looking nice. So yeah, it's just kind of crispened up those areas on the rocks. Made them really nicely defined, as you can see. There. And you still get that nice kind of like dark patches there and there along here from the shades, but you get this kind of nice benefit of it looking nice and clean by the end. Let's go this way. Same here. Yeah. I like it very much. Make sure to brush out. This is one thing I didn't used to do for a long time is washing my dry brushes. Which I really should have done, because a lot of them are now pretty much unusable. I was like, oh yeah, it'll just build up and actually add to the effect, but no, it didn't. It had the opposite effect in the long term. But you learn and you move on. Cool. How's our other dry brush doing? It's all dry again. It's nice. Cool. Yeah, the other yellow plates, that was what was next on my mental list. Cool. So again, same yellow we've been using. Same small brush we've been using as well. Which is over here. Let's redefine the tip. Then yeah, so it's these little bits here, this kind of diamond shape, which again we're just gonna kind of run along it. This one's got some texture paste on, so this will add a nice effect. Kind of rust and or use. Because yeah, I'll probably come back in, most like in that dry brushing I mentioned earlier, to give that kind of effect that there's dust around it. This is a funky one. Cool, so there you go. Just like that, just to give another kind of splash of colour onto it. I'll probably redefine these spikes in metal, but I'll do that most likely when we're highlighting the rest of the metal, because that'll just be easier than repainting it entirely. Cool. So yeah, we are now just going to work our way around the rest of the model and each of these 4 bits. I need to work out how to paint these support beams in the bottoms, because I don't have a reference image for that. I'll probably look one up in a minute or two, just to work out what colour I need to do them. So again, more texture paste here, so it's a bit rougher to paint, so I can't be kind of just as easy and just glide along the edge. Because it's a really nice defined edge here that I can just stop at. But just using the back, more flatter end of the brush. Yeah, texture paste has made a really nice effect on this. Cool. Yes, here, look, there's no texture paste on that one. So you can kind of just about make out the edge of it. So I can literally just grab the back of my brush, which is that side, which is a lot flatter at the face, rather than that bristly bit that's showing. And I can just run it along, and it won't dip down into the lower bit. Makes it really nice and simple to paint. I will obviously switch back to the other side for a bit. But yeah, simple. Cool. I'm not too worried about having a bit kind of splotchy paint at this stage with these, because as mentioned, I'm probably going to dust them up quite heavily. Need a little bit more yellow on the palette. And then, yeah, we'll finish up this little one. And then I'll look up how I'm going to do the actual, like, sole of the leg. Or foot, I guess. Doesn't really look like a foot, but I don't know what else you'd call it. And there we go. Cool. All the nice little yellow bits done. So this is going to end up pretty heavily yellow, That's the main kind of downside in my mind. But it's not fully downside. I like yellow. I'll probably end up changing this little Skitari boy to actually match my army's paint scheme rather than the classic Mars. No, the classic Mars is good, but yeah, I think it's more recognizable like this. But I think I'll get him to match my army. That'll be nice. Do I have a ranger on hand? I do. How nice. This is a fully done ranger I've done, apart from basing, where it's got basically a black cloak and a yellow hood. The yellow hood's not technically canon, but it's my interpretation of the color scheme, and I liked how it looked. And it's also got yellow trousers and a grey undercoat, which again, the grey undercoat is another non. So my interpretation of the art. Technically should have red undercoat, but I preferred how the grey looked. And I didn't want too many bright clashing colours. Yeah, the official artwork for it is a black-robed Skitari with yellow trousers and a red underrobe, and then a kind of yellow trim, like you can see on the top of my Skitari art boy. I've pointed at the screen like you could see. His kind of hood edge, you can see the whitish bit. That's yellow on the paint scheme I'm working from on this Skitari. Anyway, get to enjoy my wonderful arms whilst I briefly look up an image to use. Or not. Okay, cool. Found one. Right. So the foot sole, this bit along that edge, and technically underneath, but it's against the ground, is red on the standard Mars one. So that would be yellow, like what's in the plating basically on our one. So that's cool. And then the kind of chassis around these metal support struts matches the leg colour, so that'll be black in our case. Here. Go back to the other image I was using. There we go. Okay. Yes, I'll do that quickly in yellow. What will I work on next? I could wash down the metal. I'll work on the metal. It's a shout. I could do the fences, or I could do the Tyranids. And other base details. I'll probably save that to last because that's a nice fun bit to do. So, don't know. So yeah, this kind of edge of the foot we'll do in yellow. Again, probably not gonna polish this up too much because it's gonna get pretty dirty down later on. So it isn't fully important if we miss a bit. Or don't fully make it as body. Let me move it back. There you go. Cool. Okay, that's 1 foot. Need a bit more yellow on the palette. Yeah, that was another reason for choosing my colour of the kind of earthier brown for the bases. It kind of blends in a little bit better than kind of like a Martian soil or something. I just didn't particularly fancy too much red tones. Don't know fully why. I'm not a big fan of red. That could be it, but yeah. For whatever reason, didn't fancy red. no art for their homeworld, so it could be any colour. Go along the sides. There we go. That is coming along nicely. Oops, just be careful. Gonna be careful of the fencing here. There's another little detail that I like about it personally. Is this foot slightly pushes into the fence and has knocked it a little bit over. Just a nice little detail. And also makes it feel a little bit more lived in. That this giant walker machine has weight behind it and will actually affect the environment around it. Another cool thing to have done would have been to do footprints behind it, but there's not really too much room to do that back here. You'd need like a base extension out to here or something to really give that idea across of it walking through a landscape and leaving these tracks, these odd kind of tracks, or however it moves officially. Cool. Just gonna rotate it to get to this little fiddly bit. There we go. Anti-prosto. Cool. This last little foot now. Again, there's some more kind of texture paste. It's a little bit rougher to paint. Just do a little bit of splodging. That is the technical term for those wondering. Is a splodge. It's not really. There's no such thing. But cool. And then down here. And there we go. Rough feet are done. Okay, decision time. I think I'm gonna wash down the metal, because then I can continue work on the top half. Because I still believe that we could get both done today, both parts of this, and get this fully painted. Yeah, let's do that. That'll work. Yeah, because then we can give that longer drying time than if we were to do that as like the last step or the second to last step, because then we need to highlight it afterwards. But yeah. Once again, sorry for my random singing. Cool. So yeah, washes. Sorry, had to restart my brain there. Cool. Again, pretty simple Nuln Oil. I'll probably come in with an Agrax as well to give it kind of more of a grungier look. But mostly just Nuln Oil for this. Make sure that I know which one's actually Agrax, which is that front one, so that's all good. It's all fine. We won't use any more Athonian Gamma Shade. No more green yellows, it's fine. Okay, where was I? This. We'll probably use this brush for shading. Fairly old, fairly beat up, and fairly large. down. So I'm gonna mostly hold this by the base when I do this. And yeah, we will just go all along. Make sure to get underneath as well. Get a nice, decent coating of this grime. This is going to take a little bit because it is a fairly large area for what it is. I'm still going to splodge them down because I've got too much for this little area. So, there we go, that's better. That's a perfect amount. Cool, so I got a bit on the yellow there, but that's absolutely fine. As I said, I think I mentioned previously, any washes that kind of splash over, just going to give some extra kind of grime and grunge, which is just what we want, really. Pick up the excess from palette. Bit of an odd order, but I'm going back to the bit that we just did a minute ago. Again, yeah, I got some on the yellow there, but we'll be coming in a minute. Probably not a minute, in a little bit, to shade that as well. We could do it whilst we're doing this, but I will probably not for the sake of sanity. Yeah, I'm just going to shade the yellow now whilst we're here. It's happening on its own, so I might as well kind of help it. Plus, then we can be a bit more liberal with the shade because we're not worrying about missing out the yellow. Win-win all around. Okay. Just going to start putting stuff on this middle chassis, and then we'll extend out onto our next leg. Yeah, the only thing that I'm being careful of when I come to the yellow is to not put too much onto my brush, because I don't want to flood the yellow. I just want to kind of brush it with the shade almost like that. There we can see. It gives a dirty look, but not a. There's literally oil sitting in it. Just okay for the machinery, but not as much for that. Just slightly polished. Nothing's clean in in the 40k universe, but as clean as you can get, really. Cool. Come on here. Get the yellow there too. Just basically slap it all around. And then onto the last leg. It's almost stippling onto this yellow bit, but not quite. That's what I'm going for, really. Last bit of wash, just to do this bit. The last leg. There's quite a lot of dirt on it. Cool. That shouldn't take too long to dry, but we'll just set that aside. Another couple of little flecks of the cork have come off though. Just brush that aside. I haven't got any aggregates on. I'll just do that quickly. It's coming back. Yeah, we'll just use this brush. Again, just splotting it here and there. Yeah, it's just something about the richness of the brown wash. Just, yeah, brings it all together. Makes it look proper, like industrially metal. that's been used and worn. Just picking out different sections of different parts to get some nice variance between each bit. We'll put some on the centre bit, like along here. Yeah, I don't know, it's just something about that kind of warm tone, just, yeah, really works on metal. It doesn't look quite like rust, so it's not that. But yeah, it's, guess oil. No. Where else should we put some on this cylinder? Do a little bit on the front of some of these yellow bits. Not too much. Where else can we do? Could do in there. And then along these bits. I'll be highlighting this up later on, but I'll also be kind of putting on scratchy paint as well, or the effect of scratchy paint at least. Cool. That is satisfactory for me. Now we'll put it aside. There we go. Again, it's one of those things that you don't really think about, but then when you put it on, it's like, oh yeah, that made such a nice difference. Okie doke. Bring us back. So then, yeah, next step for this is to just dry brush it with the yellow, which is a fun step. I'll probably bring out the big one again. Now that's dry. Let's try that a bit ago. I'll probably need to grab some more kitchen roll because, yeah, it's it's pretty soggy for all the paint we've done. Cool. Set that aside. Right. Paint switch out. So this is Uriel yellow. Just let's see, any light yellow. Just a light yellow. Yeah. And get a decent amount and start dry brushing. So you'll probably be able to see on the palette, it's basically, this is more yellow, whereas that's more kind of mustard or slightly kind of, oops, almost like an orangey yellow, really, if you will. Like there, that's so much brighter. It looks almost like too bright. It'll look cool. At least I think it looks cool. Cool. So yeah, grab this again. You know the drill. Knead it in. Use this tune again. Cool. Pick another part of the hand that hasn't been used. Let's go with here. I'll just wash these afterwards. There we go. As you can see, it's very faint there. That's what we're looking for. And then it begins. So we are going to catch a lot of areas that we're later going to repaint over, but that's perfectly fine. This is not the same effect that was happening with the knight, but is still looking very nice. Yeah, different effect, but looks nice anyways. It's more of a smoother colour than a texture colour. Yeah, still has a nice level of grunge. It kind of brings it back to that nice mid-tone. Almost like panel lining, but in reverse. No, I guess it is kind of panel lining. I'm actually just gonna run this through some random muck to actually get some texture, like artificially. I know that sounds odd. Yeah, no difference. Oh well. Cool. Making sure to get the bottom. There would be some highlights here, even though there is not much more left on the brush. So I probably need to get some more paint on it in a sec. This is not doing much. Cool. Yeah, tell you what, I will switch over to a smaller brush. The one we used before, the other makeup brush. Dab a little bit on. Get that nice and at a low level. And then come in for some of these other areas that I missed on the first pass. Yeah, I really love this texture that's been created here. It's this kind of like dark bit, and it's the streak of light and other stuff like that. There is some kind of grit and texture in some places, but yeah, it is overall a bit of a cleaner look. That's right, still looks nice. Just making sure I go over everything, most angles. Get some more loads up with the brush. Down. Make sure I get the sides of this. Always miss that. That's why I like Warhammer. Special paint. Just chilling. Just relaxing. Having a good time. Oops. Cool. I think that is to a level that I am pretty much happy with now. Cool. Put all my brushes into wash, and yeah, I'm just going to go grab some more kitchen towel, because that is so through. Hello. Cool. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to wrap it up here, as my voice is not treating me too kindly. Plus, I have to head out in a little bit. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. Let me just see briefly if there's anyone I can pass you off to. I checked a bit earlier. I couldn't see anyone. I'll have a look again. Okay, there is someone else. Let me just have a look. Cool. Yeah, there is a person I will. I'll just pass you off to now. Yeah, so they're not doing Warhammer, but they are painting miniatures, which is cool. So yeah, enjoy it over there. Go around to this. Sorry, give me a sec. Is it rage? Does that work? Yeah, cool. Cool. We are going to be raiding over at Grumpy Crane Studio. Cool. Hope you enjoyed the stream, or the video if you're watching this later on. And I will pass you over to this guy. And I should be streaming on Monday at 1 PM Greenwich Mean Time. Yeah, have a good day.